Hello learners. All right, the first thing we're going to need is a black paper, white paper, a pencil, scissors, and a glue stick. What we're going to do is we're going to move our white paper to the side and we're going to put our black paper horizontal. So this is vertical, horizontal, and then what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half. So you're going to go corner, pinch, swipe, match up the corners, pinch, swipe. You're going to get those two pinches and then you're going to smooth it out in between the two pinches. Cut the black paper in half. One half is going to go to you and the other half is going to go to your shoulder partner. When I'm looking at this line right here becomes my symmetry axis. So I want whatever's on this side to be the same as on this side. I want my first shape to be a big shape. So I'm going to do a heart. When I think about half of a heart, it is a diagonal line, and then it's a curved line. You can choose any shape you want. It can be organic or it can be geometric. Just make it simple. So you can see my pencil line. So I'm going to cut along that as best as I can. Now I know a strategy I have taught you is you can cut things out in a bunch of little pieces, but for this activity I want you to try to cut it out in one piece. All right, now I'm going to glue that bigger piece down. When you're gluing down, you want to go quickly and you want to go along the edges. When you're done, place it on your paper. Let's play with the symmetry real quickly. Let's put this black paper back where it was, and now let's flip it on its axis to create symmetry. Symmetry means that it's the same on one side as it is on the other. We are also creating balance here by doing that. Now, to make this a little bit more interesting, I'm going to make another shape on the inside.
The shape that I chose is just an organic shape.
Once again, even though it's one of those difficult cuts, I'm really trying to just make it in one cut. Let me find the symmetry. And then sometimes I've seen kids do that. Sometimes I've seen kids do this. You want to, which is an asymmetrical right there. You want to try to make it symmetrical. If you have a different vision, of course, raise your hand and talk to me before you glue. All right, now that I have that, I'm going to glue it. Okay, now to clean up our supplies, we're going to make sure there's no glue on the outside. We're going to snap the lid closed and put them back where they belong. The next tool you're going to get are these construction paper crayons. And the reason I like you to use these is because they'll turn up very bright on this black construction paper. Now, you're going to use the elements we've already learned of line and shape to create some interesting patterns on your black construction paper. Here, I'm starting with some straight lines.
Here I'm
Switching to a dotted line. Curved line. Zigzag. You can also create shapes, but remember the shapes that you create need to be your own or from nature. Make sure that you're not doing fan art for this original piece of art. When you clean up, make sure you put each of the construction paper crayons back in their original box. Next, we're going to paint our white space, and depending how you're looking at your object, either it could be your positive space or it could be your negative space. That's what's so cool about these positive space, negative space reversals. But we want to create some balance. We have a lot of busyness happening on the black parts, so now we want to add some busyness to the white parts to balance it out. So first thing we want to do is review our parts of the paintbrush. Say handle, ferrule, bristles. Now you're going to notice that in the supplies I have my art piece, my messy mat, and some temper paints. I don't have water. That's because temper paints are pretty special in how you can use them. But one thing we do want to do is not create a spider paintbrush. As you can see, the bristles have gotten pretty messed up and broken. And painting like a spider is really effective. So what kids I see them do all the time is they put in their paintbrush all the way. They get it even on the ferrule, and then they start painting. And it does a really great job of painting a lot of things. And the reason we call it spider is, as you can see, it creates almost like little legs when you're pushing down like that. But what's happening is the metal of the ferrule is breaking the bristles. Also, the paint that's getting in this metal ferrule is loosening the glue, which causes the bristles to fall out. Now you'll notice if I use my paintbrush the correct way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the same color paint, but I'm just going to put the paint on the bristle. See how it's not getting on that ferrule? And then I'm just going to paint back and forth where that metal ferrule never touches. Now, I have a little bit less paint because of that, right? all I do is get a little bit more paint, go back and forth. Now I can paint the same color, I can paint the same amount, but one takes care of the brush and one ruins the brush. So we want to be responsible, caring members of the art community, since these are community paintbrushes, and make sure that you use these properly so that the next person is pretty happy. Now, we have already learned our colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, purple, and we've used watercolors. Watercolors is a great way to mix and blend colors. We don't want to ruin these paints for the next person. So what's going to happen is, if I want to mix green with another color, I'm going to make a nice little puddle. So you see, just kind of rotating my paintbrush to create a little puddle. And then whenever I change colors on the messy mat, I'm going to go back and forth. It's not going to be perfect, but because tempera paints are made of a powder, while there might be a little bit that comes off, once it's mostly off, you are pretty good. And then you can go get your new color. Once again, create that little puddle. Now that you have your two puddles, you can mix those colors. You can see that I'm always adding just a little bit of the darker color to my light color until it creates the color I want. Now I can add that paint to my painting. If it starts to blend on the paper, don't worry. We call that painterly, and it creates really nice expression and emotion and interest. If you want to make sure that your colors don't blend, what you want to do is paint an area, then leave it, go paint another area, and then come back to it in a couple minutes. Give it a chance to set and to dry. Sometimes I see kids cleaning their brush that spider way. Yes, it's quick, but once again, it's breaking those bristles. So I'm just going to go back and forth. If your messy mat gets too messy, raise your hand. I got plenty of messy mats. You can have another one. Whenever you change the color, that's when you're going to rub it on the messy mat. If you're not changing the color, just go get more. I want you to notice how I keep my hand off of the paper sometimes, because we're so used to writing with our hands on the paper, we want to do that. But instead, I'm lifting up my arm, lifting up my elbow as I'm painting.
You may notice I made some mistakes and I got a little bit of paint on my black. That's okay, I'm learning. And now I'm just going to accept it as a new part of my art, right? Have courage to make mistakes and live with them. Create something new. You might notice that another kid made a mistake and got some other color mixing those paint colors. I'm just scooping it out. No problem. Might even use it. Looks pretty interesting.
I have noticed that this has gotten a lot drier looking. Tempera paints are made with a powder, so when they are wet, they look shiny, and when they are dry, so you can see now I can paint next to it without it blending the green into my orange. I also can paint on top of it. It's one of the really exciting things about tempera paint, is it doesn't blend necessarily after it's dry.
Like
The first thing you want to do before you clean up is raise your hand for the teacher to come check your work. Then you'll turn the water on low. And first use your thumb and forefingers to clean the handle and the ferrule. Once there's no paint on that ferrule, you're going to use the mat at the bottom of the sink. You're going to go back and forth until there is no paint in that paintbrush. Once the water is running clear, you're going to place it sideways, not down, sideways in the drying rack. Then with two hands, what you're going to do is go get your artwork. Now, there's a plus sign made right there by the metal pieces. You want to put your artwork on the plus sign so that it doesn't fall through. Then go back to your desk with two hands, being careful not to bump anyone. Bring your messy mat. This one's going to get two plus signs because it's so big. Once the rack is full, reach up or have someone help you reach up and bring down the next rack. When you're done, you're going to go get one baby wipe. First, with the baby wipe, you're going to clean your fingers. We didn't paint on our hands on purpose, I know, but we're going to. Sometimes things happen, especially when we're cleaning up our painting and carrying it with our two hands. The paint on the paper can get on our fingers. Then we're going to lay our baby wipe flat, use our whole hand, and go in circle motions to clean the table. If you notice your friend or the class before you didn't clean up an area all the way, go ahead. Remember rule 5, go back and help your friends. Help make our team stronger by us all helping each other out.